So we're just going to build upon what you learned in those videos and just see another problem like it. So I'd like you to actually do this in your notes, not in the packet that was just provided to you. Let's talk about two different ways we can factor. That's the first method that was introduced to you as a method for solving this quadratic equation. Unfortunately, factoring does not always work. So how do we set up factoring? Well, I'm going to demonstrate two ways to factor. We take the A times the C. Don't forget about the symbol in the C. And then we take the B in the middle. And I'm asking myself what two numbers multiplied to equal negative 24 and combined to give us negative 2. So in my mind, I'm like 1 and 24, no. 2 and 12, no. 3 and 8, no. Oh, 4 and 6 could work. So I know that they have to be opposite signs because the two numbers multiplied to achieve a negative. And I know they have to combine to equal negative 2. That leaves me to believe that 4 and negative 6 are the correct answer. Now this is one method, and I used this method for the last 2 years when I introduced factoring. And so even my students now that are in Calc BC prefer this method. That's okay. To me it's a little extra work, but as long as you have a method in which you can consistently choose the right answer, that's great. So I'm going to drop in here the 4x and the negative 6x. And I'm going to use the idea that factoring by grouping now in order to put this in factored form and to solve. I'm looking at the first two terms. The most I can factor out is a 4x. 4 times 2 is 8. I need one more x. 4 times positive 1 is 4x. I'm going to copy and paste exactly what was in that first parenthesis. And then I'm going to ask myself, what value, if there's one that exists, can I take times 2x and I get a negative 6x? That's a negative 3. And negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. So I chose the correct number. This is factorable. Both the left and the right contain a 2x plus 1. Now in front of the first is a 4x, and in front of the second is a negative 3. I'm going to take each one of these parentheses, and I'm going to set it equal to 0, and I'm going to solve. So do you need to show all of your work? Yeah, you do. It is required. Now, just because I get answers here don't mean that these solutions work. I do need to test them, and you're going to see that throughout this unit, that sometimes you get answers that don't work when you test them. In the videos you were assigned last night, we talked about the words extraneous solutions. That means you do all of the math, you believe these are solutions, and by the solutions for a quadratic equation means the areas in which the function crosses the x-axis. You believe these are the solutions. Well, how can you test? One way to test is to take this original equation, and I'm going to substitute in negative 1/2. When I substitute in, it's important that I take any value that's going to be plugged in for the variable x, and I keep it in parentheses. Now, when I plug in negative 1/2 and I do the algebra, which the calculators are going to help me, I must have plugged in something wrong. Do you guys see a mistake of what I've plugged in? Let's check here. 8 times negative 1/2. Did I forget the square? Let's check. That may have been the problem. There we go. I must have forgot the square. When I substituted a negative 1/2 on the left-hand side, if it equals 0, because that's the right-hand side, then this is, in fact, a solution. All right, let's try now positive 3/4. Grab your calculator and please do this with me. So we have 8 parentheses, I'm plugging in 3/4 squared. Don't forget the square like I did last time. Subtract 2 times 3/4. One's right here, one's right here. It's 2 times 3/4, subtract 3. If it equals 0, I've just proved that 3/4 is, in fact, a solution. These are solutions to this quadratic, let's put them right there. These are solutions to this quadratic equation, and in fact, that means they are the x-intercepts, or the zeros to the function as well. Now, this method works. It's called the AC plus B method. There's nothing wrong with it. You're going to learn that I'm kind of a minimalist. I want to get the answer, and I want to understand it, but I want to do the least amount of work. So let me just flip this over really quickly. I'm going to do the same problem. So I'm going to do this equation, 8x squared minus 2x minus 3 equals 0. And here's the great part. As long as you have a factoring method that works for you and you understand it, that's all that matters. So I'm going to use the exact same information, but I'm going to put down 2 parentheses, put x's in front. X times x is x squared. Now I selected a positive 4 and a negative 6 because that combination multiplies to negative 24 and combines to negative 2. Here's what a lot of students forget. They forget to drop down that leading coefficient. Now we need to simplify each fraction. I'm going to teach you, if you're not great with simplifying, here's a way to do it. Take 4 divided by 8 on your calculator. Then on the left-hand side, you're going to see the button that says math right here. Hit it once, and then hit enter in the bottom right-hand corner twice, and it simplifies it for you. So x plus 1/2 is the equivalent to x plus 4/8. It's reduced. Same thing, I'm going to take 6/8. Hit math fraction, enter, enter. If you're uncomfortable with reducing, it reduces it to 3/4. Now, why do I like this method? Because it seems like a little bit less work for me. So what is the direct opposite of a positive 1/2? A negative 1/2. What's directly opposite of a negative 3/4 would be a positive 3/4. And now I would say you still have to check your answers. But notice, we already checked negative 1/2 and we checked 3/4 with the same equation and it worked. So I'm not going to waste your time. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to take that same equation, so write it down one more time, but now I'm going to twist it a little bit. So please write down 8x squared equals 2x plus 3. Eventually we're going to rewrite it. It's going to be the same equation, but I want you to recognize that when we see this, we have to rewrite it so that all terms are on the same side. When the 2x moves over to the opposite side, it crosses over the equal sign, it's going to change signs. When the 3 crosses over the equal sign, it's going to change signs. And now we're working with the exact same equation. So if you are unfamiliar or were not confident using the quadratic formula, you got to know it. Why do you have to know it? Because when factoring doesn't work to solve a quadratic equation, the quadratic formula will always work. Here we go. Not only that, you have to memorize the formula. And so I'm going to teach you how I use the calculator to kind of simplify the process. First, I always start, and you can see through my videos, I'm not very neat. I always start by putting in these parentheses. And because I know I'm not very neat, it's easy to make mistakes with signs. I'm going to drop the B's in where they're supposed to go, and the A's as well, and the C's. What I'm highlighting is called the discriminant. The discriminant does not include the square root. It's the value inside. Now, I'd like you to take your calculator, and if you don't use parentheses here, you're going to get the wrong value for the discriminant. So every value I plugged in must go in parentheses, and I come up with an answer of 100. So the discriminant is 100. I'm going to rewrite this now. Okay, 2 negatives make a positive, so I have 2 plus or minus the square root of 100 over 16. When the discriminant, when that value is greater than 0, it tells me there's going to be 2 solutions. 2 solutions mean 2 x-intercepts. So I'm looking at something that has 2 x-intercepts. Okay, you ready? We know the square root of 100 is 10. And then this goes back, if you're watching the video, to mathematicians being lazy. Like, they don't want to write this out twice. But in your head, one time you're going to add, and the next time you're going to subtract. So 2 plus 10 is 12. Oh, I got to still reduce. Okay, 12 over 16. I know both are divisible by 4. 12 divided by 4 is 3. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Okay, I believe that's one answer. Then 2 minus 10 is negative 8. Negative 8 over 16 reduces to negative 1/2. And you would say, Miss Bradley, do I have to go back and check those answers? You absolutely do. But you know what? I just did the same equation 3 times. You can see that. And so I know I've already checked, you can see the star, a negative 1/2 and a positive 3/4. So let's not waste our time right now.